Tēnā koutou te whānau o Aotearoa Unitarians. Tēnā koutou nā manuhiri, nau mai, haere mai, ki tenei whare karakia o te atua, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou, katoa. Welcome all from near and far to our virtual sanctuary. As a result of the current wave of Delta variant cases, Auckland residents are now in our 9th week of lockdown. This is the longest lockdown in New Zealand to date, and it's not looking like it will end anytime soon. The focus of our service today is surveying the landscape of this new normal and what we can do to navigate that landscape while retaining ourselves and our sanity. My opening words today are a poem written by Lincoln, not his real name, an 11-year-old boy in the United Kingdom, and featured on Save the Children's website. Life was always fast-paced. We never slowed down until everything stopped when Corona came to town. Now all is quiet and there's peace all around. We've looked in our hearts and kindness we found. We learn now with Mom, this is a new feature, but we can't wait to get back to our teacher. I miss Sea Cadets, school, my friends, and my dad. I miss sharing the fun times, and that makes me sad. We've had social distancing picnics, social distancing walks, social distancing hugs, and social distancing talks. I'm looking forward to getting away, the beach, the hotel, and a perfect holiday. When it is, I'll throw my arms open wide and shout to the world, we can all go outside. Don't give up hope, the end is in sight. If we all stick together, we'll all win this fight. For our opening hymn today, I've selected number 347, Gather the Spirit, in honor of our gathering this morning where we are together in spirit. The video that I'll be showing was produced by the virtual choir of the UU Community Church of Chapel Hill. For our chalice lighting this morning, I have chosen some words written by Andrew Pakula. In sightless night, terrors draw near, nameless fears of talon and tooth. Hopelessness yawns before us, an abyss, alone and unknown in the gloom, longing for the dawn. O sacred flame, blaze forth, wisdom brought to life. Guide us with the light of hope, the warmth of love, the beacon of purpose and meaning, because we are all afraid of the dark. Let there be light. My reading this morning is actually a blog post entitled, Am I Coping Well During the Pandemic? It was written by Nick Haslam, a professor of psychology at the University of Melbourne, and it was posted about a year ago. The pandemic has posed unprecedented challenges. Many of us have lost work, gained carer responsibilities, and grappled with social isolation. Experts have warned of a looming wave of mental illness as a result. Research suggests they're largely correct. Surveys in Australia, the UK, and the USA point to rates of depression, anxiety, and suicidal thinking substantially higher than in previous years. But over time, people have changed how they have responded to the threat of COVID-19. Google searches have shifted from the harm of the pandemic itself to ways of dealing with it, such as exercising and learning new skills. This pivot points to a new focus on coping with COVID-19. Coping is the process of responding effectively to problems and challenges. To cope well is to respond to the threat in ways that minimize its damaging impacts. Coping can involve many different strategies, and it's likely you have your own preferred ones. These strategies can be classified in many ways, but a key distinction is between problem-focused and emotion-focused. What's the difference? Problem-focused coping involves actively engaging with the outside world. This might mean making action plans, seeking further information about a threat, or confronting an adversary. Emotion-focused coping, in contrast, is directed inward, attempting to change how we respond emotionally to stressful events and conditions, rather than change them at their source. Effective emotion-focused strategies include meditation, humor, and reappraising difficulties to find benefits. Less effective emotion-focused strategies include seeking distractions, denial, and substance abuse. Although these tactics may stave off distress in the short term, they neither address its causes nor prevent its longer-term effects. Which is best? Neither of these coping strategies is intrinsically more or less effective than the other. Both can be effective for different kinds of challenges. Problem-focused strategies are said to work best when we can control the problem. However, when we face an immovable challenge, it can be better to adjust our response to it using emotion-focused strategies rather than battling fruitlessly against it. Some coping strategies during the pandemic. Physical activity and experiencing nature can offer some protection from depression during the pandemic. One study even points to the benefit of bird watching. But there's more evidence around coping strategies to avoid. Rising levels of substance use during the pandemic are associated with greater distress. Eating too many snacks and accessing too much COVID-related media have also been linked to higher levels of stress and depression. So these should be consumed in moderation. How can I tell if I'm not coping well? We should be able to assess how well we are coping with the pandemic by judging how we're going compared to our previous normal. Think of yourself this time last year. Are you drinking more, sleeping poorly, or experiencing fewer positive emotions and more negative emotions now? If the answer to any of these questions is yes, then compared to your previous normal, your coping may not be as good as it could be. But before you judge your coping critically, it's worth considering a few things. Your coping is relative to your challenge. The pandemic may be shared, but its impacts have been unequal. If you live alone, are a caregiver, or have lost work, the pandemic has been a larger threat for you than for many others. If you've suffered more distress than others, or more than you did last year, it doesn't mean you have coped less well. You may have just had more to cope with. Negative emotions can be appropriate. Experiencing some anxiety in the face of a threat like COVID-19 is justified. Experiencing sadness at separation from loved ones under lockdown is also inevitable. Suffering does not mean maladjustment. In fact, unpleasant emotions draw our attention to problems and motivate us to tackle them, rather than just being signs of mental fragility or not coping. We should, of course, be vigilant for serious problems, such as thoughts of self-harm, but we should also avoid pathologizing ordinary distress. Not all distress is a symptom of a mental health problem. Coping isn't just about emotions anyway. Coping isn't all about how we feel. It's also about action and finding a sense of meaning and purpose in life, despite our distress. Perhaps we've sustained our relationships and done our jobs passively during the pandemic. Perhaps if we've sustained our relationships and done our jobs passively during the pandemic, we have coped well enough, even if we have sometimes been miserable. Coping with COVID-19 has been an uneven contest. Social distancing and lockdowns have left us with a reduced coping repertoire. Seeking emotional and practical support from others, also known as social coping, is made more difficult by pandemic restrictions. Without our usual supports, many of us have had to cope with one arm tied behind our backs. So remember to cut yourself some slack. For most people, the pandemic has been a unique challenge. When judging how well we coped, we should practice self-compassion. Let's not make things worse by criticizing ourselves for failing to cope better. For today's intermediate hymn, I've selected number 407. We're going to sit at the welcome table. I chose it because it reminds me of our ongoing hope that one of these days, we'll once again be able to sit at a table together, live and in person. The video was produced by the First Unitarian Church of Baltimore. And now for my random musings. Well, it finally happened. On the 17th of August, New Zealand joined the rest of the world in dealing with an outbreak of the Delta COVID variant in the community. Our government's short, sharp response, announced that afternoon, turned out not to be all that short, and recently has lost a great deal of its sharpness as well. The Prime Minister's announcement on the 4th of October that Auckland's restrictions under level 3 would be eased in a series of steps surprised many, particularly given many experts were publicly advocating for a return to level 4 as new cases continued to arise. It came as no surprise, at least to me, when we heard last Monday that we couldn't move into step 2 of the plan, or that schools would not, in fact, be returning to in-person teaching tomorrow. Since I haven't spoken with many of you in recent weeks, I'll pause here to recount a bit of the timeline for my family's lockdown experience. As some may recall, Tess and I bought and moved into an apartment in Newmarket in mid-July. Several months earlier, before we'd even started to think about buying a place, and while I still worked at the airline, we'd booked a trip to Queenstown for the week of 16 August. So, after having gotten only mostly settled into our new place, we found ourselves in a hotel in Queenstown when the lockdown announcement came. I spent the rest of that day and much of the next trying to secure new flights so we could get back to Auckland before the travel ban went into effect on Thursday night. We did manage to get a flight back on Thursday, making it to our apartment that afternoon. And we've been here ever since. We took advantage of the fact we were already scheduled to be off on Friday and used that day to get things sorted, unpacking, grocery runs, laundry, and so forth. Now, fortunately for us, both Tess's and my jobs can be done remotely. In many ways, they can't be done as well or as effectively, but they can be done, and we continue to work and get paid. This is really important considering our freshly obtained and very large mortgage. Both of the girls' schools, having honed their craft in earlier lockdowns, transitioned pretty smoothly into learning from home mode. So on Monday the 23rd, the 4 of us started operating in this new normal with 4 people on 4 devices in 4 separate rooms all day. But now, well, now it's been more than 7 weeks. My last haircut was around the 1st of August, and it shows. Somewhere around the middle of September, the last vestiges of the kind of good diet and exercise habits I'd been working toward finally disappeared. At this point, every morning I tell myself, I'll definitely get some exercise today. And every night I tell myself, I really should have gotten some exercise. 3 of the 4 members of our family have had birthdays during this lockdown. The girls' plans to have parties with their friends were canceled. Many of their birthday presents had to be ordered online since non-essential items couldn't be purchased locally in Alert Level 4. This resulted in their presents arrivals being spread over 2 weeks. Despite their disappointment at having so few presents on their birthdays, they took it in stride. And on top of that, they got to celebrate a little bit more every time another parcel arrived. Now, Tessa's employer, whose engagement with their membership and financial well-being depend heavily on their annual conference, have already postponed the event from October to November and are now contemplating a move to early 22. As part of my job, I present training, participate in and help organize conferences, and spend a lot of time socializing and networking with current and potential customers. Nearly all of that has stopped or shifted to Teams and Zoom calls, a pale imitation of the engagement achieved in face-to-face interactions. The first half of November is normally security conference season in New Zealand, with 3 conferences in 2 cities over 2 weeks. Supporting and participating in these conferences are a core part of my team's public outreach and networking for the year. So far, of those 3 conferences, one's been postponed, a second has gone fully online, and the third is, well, as at now, going forward with a hybrid format. This means my being at those conferences will be no different than any other day at work for me. I'll be sitting right here looking at that camera, Livin La Vida lockdown. Our younger daughter has been, so far, the most resilient of our bunch. Her primary school sets a varied collection of tasks for students to do, and she completes all or nearly all of them every day. Her class gets together on Google Meet calls 2 or 3 times a week, and she always takes part. She's energetic, inventive, and playful. Over the past few weeks, she's gone from just barely able to ride her bike to a confident rider. She's constantly repurposing the boxes from our mail order shipments for new craft projects. We've watched her strategic skills at family favorite games like Settlers of Catan grow continually. On the other hand, she's bored a lot. Her schoolwork takes her maybe 3 hours a day, while Tess and I are trying to put in 8 or more hours of work. Her older sister, now officially a teenager, isn't all that interested in child's play, so she doesn't get much interaction there either. However, and there's one huge way in which our family has been living the memes. There has been a ton of baking done in this apartment since August. Tessa's most recent ginger slice attempt was excellent, and she's been working out a peanut butter slice recipe through trial and error. For my birthday, she made an amazing carrot cake cheesecake that we polished off in less than 72 hours. Add in the batches of cookies and brownies, and we have definitely done our part to contribute to the flour and sugar shortages at local supermarkets. Looking at myself, well, my sleep schedule is completely screwed up. I was up and writing this talk at 2:30 this morning, and that's a time that I'm usually up and working these days. My day job keeps me in this chair and on calls from 9 to 5 or 6 every day, and my conference planning responsibilities chew through a few more hours many nights. Despite these demands, though, we've managed to carve out a family routine, at least every evening. We have dinner together, and after dinner, we play a game and or watch a movie or some episodes of Doctor Who with a big bowl of popcorn. The bills get paid, the dishes and laundry get done, the girls and the guinea pigs get fed, and our most essential day job work is getting done. So are we coping well? At times, not so much, but we are coping, and I expect we'll continue to do so. It won't be pretty, but we'll manage. And now as we conclude the somewhat formal portion of today's service, please join me in the words for extinguishing the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. For my closing words, I've chosen a brief piece by Cynthia Landrum. We leave this gathered community, but we don't leave our connection, our concerns, our care for each other. Our service to each other, to the world, and to our faith continues. Until we are together again, friends, be strong, be well, be true, be loving. All right, thank you all for taking part today. And as David just reminded us, it's time for our breakouts and conversation. And my starter questions, surprisingly, are: what strategies are you using to cope with the continuing lockdown? Are any working particularly well? Are there others where you think we can learn from your mistakes?